2 years had passed since I divorced my cheating wife, Emily. Life had finally begun to feel calm again. I had rebuilt my small home, focused on my work, and tried to heal from the betrayal that had shattered me. She had left me for a man she claimed to love more, and though it hurt deeply, I eventually accepted it as fate. I hadn't seen or heard from her since the divorce was finalized. That Sunday morning, I was in the kitchen making coffee when I heard a firm knock on the door. It wasn't the usual tap from the mailman, it was strong, commanding. When I opened it, 2 police officers stood there. "Mr. Carter?" one asked. I nodded, confused. "We need to talk. Can we come in?" My heart sank instantly. I hadn't done anything wrong, but the seriousness in their eyes made me uneasy. Once inside, they looked around briefly, then one of them handed me a photograph. My hands trembled as I saw the familiar face, Emily. "She's missing," the officer said quietly. "You were her husband. We're talking to everyone close to her." For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. Missing. The woman who had betrayed me, who walked out of my life without a word, was now gone? I told them the truth, that I hadn't seen or spoken to her since the divorce. The officers asked about our last few months together. I explained how things fell apart after I found out she was seeing another man named Daniel, a co-worker she'd met at a conference. I also told them that after our separation, I cut off all contact. They took notes carefully, asking if she had enemies or anyone who might wish her harm. After they left, I sat alone, staring at the wall. Old memories flooded back, the nights of shouting, the lies, the moment I discovered her betrayal through a series of messages on her phone. Even though she'd wronged me, I couldn't help but feel a strange sadness. No one deserved to go missing or worse. Despite everything, she had been a big part of my life. The next few days were restless. Reporters started showing up in the neighborhood asking questions. Some neighbors whispered that maybe I had something to do with it. The rumors hurt. I had spent years repairing my reputation after the divorce, and now it felt like everything was falling apart again. I kept replaying the last time I saw her, her cold expression as she walked out with her bags. A week later, the police came again. This time, they had more questions. They said Emily's car had been found abandoned near the edge of town. Inside it were documents related to our old house, and oddly enough, a photo of the 2 of us from happier times. "Do you know why she might have been carrying this?" one officer asked. I had no idea. We had shared so much pain that I doubted she'd kept anything sentimental. That night, I couldn't sleep. Something inside me whispered that maybe Emily had been trying to reach out before she disappeared. I went through my old email account, one I barely used anymore, and there it was, a message from her, sent 2 weeks before she vanished. The subject read, "I need to tell you the truth." My heart raced as I opened it. The message was short but shocking. Emily wrote that Daniel, the man she left me for, had turned violent. She said she was scared and regretted everything. She also mentioned that she had found out something terrible about him, but she didn't write what it was. The email ended with, "If anything happens to me, you'll know where to look." I immediately printed the email and went to the police station. The officers listened carefully, their expressions growing tense as they read her words. They said they'd investigate Daniel right away. A few days later, they called to tell me he had fled town the day Emily went missing. Evidence from her car and phone linked him to a storage unit outside the city. When the police searched it, they found Emily's belongings, her purse, jewelry, and the same coat she was last seen wearing. But thankfully, she wasn't dead. A week later, they located her alive but injured, hiding in a motel under a false name. She had escaped from Daniel after he tried to harm her, and she'd been too afraid to come forward. When I saw her later, sitting in the hospital bed, she looked fragile and broken. She couldn't meet my eyes at first. "I didn't deserve your kindness," she said softly. I told her I wasn't angry anymore. The pain she caused me had already run its course. All I felt now was relief that she was alive. After that day, we never spoke again. She left the city for good, and I moved on with my life, stronger and wiser. The knock on my door that morning had reopened old wounds, but it also reminded me how far I'd come. Sometimes the past finds a way back, not to destroy you, but to show how much you've healed.